Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video. So this is my September wrap-up. Sorry that it's a bit later than other times, but yeah, the first book I read in the month of September was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It has been on my shelf for such a long time because it's also a pretty old book. Um, and I'm so happy I finally consumed it because it was actually so much better than I thought it would be. Because I knew I was gonna like it, but I thought it wouldn't be a favorite, you know? But it's definitely a new favorite of mine, and there were so many good quotes. Um, so I did something different with my review spread that you will see in a second. Um, but yeah, I obviously gave it 5 stars. And it always feels so good to finally tick it off the physical TBR list. It was also on my September TBR. I normally don't really make TBRs, but I was in the mood for one, and I actually did so good with this month's TBR. So yeah, you will see at the end, I guess. So for this review spread, I'm making a big flap, actually just a third page basically, and I'm even making smaller little flip-ins in the 3-page spread that you will see later. But it was such a long process, and I also wrote down all the quotes that I wanted to include with my hand, and my wrist actually hurted so bad after, because first I printed them off, but it was too big and I know I can write smaller than what I printed off. So I just did that so I could include more, and it was just like more personal then. So yeah, that's what I did. So I mostly used some photos that I found on Pinterest from the movie of the book. Have I watched the movie? No. Will I ever watch a movie? Probably not, but I wanted to use the things from the movie because it's obviously the scenes from in the book as well, except where he's like standing on the car. That's a bit different than from the book, but anyways, I still decided to use it because it also had a quote that I wanted to include, so then I could include more quotes. So here you can see how I made the flap, like, oh, I didn't show it, I guess, but it was just with like clear tape on the back side and just like whatever washi tape on the inside because I was gonna cover it anyway with ripped book pages because I really like the look of ripped book pages and it adds so much more to the spread as a background than it would just be white or something. I printed all of this off on sticker paper, so I just sticked it in. What I do regret is not making the title itself like what you see in the car, making like writing it with my hand or making it a separate sticker, because now it just feels like too printed off in a way. Like, I don't know if you get what I mean, but yeah. Here are all the little flip-ins or tip-ins, whatever you want to call it. And this bigger one that I'm sticking in right now is actually to put in my review. My review wasn't that long anyway, but I just needed a bigger flap than where I would just put the other quotes. So that's why I chose that little fan art that someone made. Okay, while I'm sticking in the rest of the spreads, I'm gonna read some quotes that I really liked and that are also in my journal, but I'm just gonna read them out loud for you guys. You see things, you keep quiet about them, and you understand. I didn't know that other people thought things about me. I didn't know that they looked. If you are reading these words, you won today. You are here, you are alive, you have options. You can wait out a bad situation, move on, fight back, get out, break up, call, ask her or him out, write that book, write that song, listen to the music, take the drive, take the chance, and live. Whatever strategy you choose, you win. So I guess we are who we are for a lot of reasons, and maybe we'll never know most of them. But even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there. We can still do things, and we can try to feel okay about them. You're a freak, you know that? You've always been a freak, everyone says so. They always have. I'm trying not to be. But mostly I was crying because I was suddenly very aware of the fact that it was me standing up in that tunnel with the wind over my face, not caring if I saw downtown, not even thinking about it, because I was standing in a tunnel and I was really there, and that was enough to make me feel infinite. And even if somebody else has it much worse, that doesn't really change the fact that you have what you have, good and bad. Maybe these are my glory days, and I'm not even realizing it because they don't involve a ball. Do you always think this much, Charlie? Is that bad? Not necessarily, it's just that sometimes people use thought to not participate in life. Is that bad? Yes. I just wish that God or my parents or Sam or my sister or someone would just tell me what's wrong with me, just tell me how to be different in a way that makes sense, to make this all go away and disappear. I know that's wrong because it's my responsibility, and I know that things get worse before they get better, because that's what my psychiatrist says, but it's a worse that feels too big. I just want you to know that you are very special. And the only reason I'm telling you is that I don't know if anyone else ever has. I was very grateful to have heard it again, because I guess we all forget sometimes. And I think everyone is special in their own way. I really do. I remembered this one time that I never told anybody about. The time we were walking, just the three of us, and I was in the middle. I don't remember where we were walking to or where we were walking from. I don't even remember the season. I just remember walking between them and feeling for the first time that I belonged somewhere. I don't know if you've ever felt like that you wanted to sleep for 1,000 years, or just not exist, or just not be aware that you do exist, or something like that. I think wanting that is very morbid, but I want it when I get like this. That's why I'm trying not to think. I just want it all to stop spinning. I don't think I have it any better or worse than she does. I don't know. It's just different. Maybe it's good to put things in perspective, but sometimes I think that the only perspective is to really be there. Like Sam said, because it's okay to feel things and be who you are about them. I would die for you, but I won't live for you. I think the idea is that every person has to live for his or her own life and then make the choice to share it with other people. Maybe that is what makes people participate. I was looking at the old photographs. I started thinking that there was a time where these weren't memories, that someone actually took that photograph and the people in the photograph had just eaten lunch or something. Whatever I've learned as an adult, I've never forgotten what it was like to be that kid, what it was like to feel like no one could understand these feelings because I couldn't understand them myself. I've never forgotten feeling sad or crazy or depressed or outside of my own self and own body. And on the great days, I have never forgotten what it was like to go on those drives with those songs, with those beautiful people who I'm still call friends. I don't know how much longer I can keep going without a friend. I used to be able to do it very easily, but that was before I knew what having a friend was like. It's much easier not to know things sometimes. Sometimes I look at my parents now and wonder what happened to make them the way they are. It suddenly dawned on me that if Michael were still around, Susan probably wouldn't be going out with him anymore. Not because she's a bad person or shallow or mean, but because things change and friends leave and life doesn't stop for anybody. And to close off all of these little flaps, I decided to use those Velcro strips. I got it from my grandparents. Thank you, grandparents. And it actually was really easy to do. You just needed to cut a little piece out and just stick it to the page. My journal is a very chunky right now, but I don't really mind because I like the chunkiness. But this page, you can definitely see it from like 3 kilometers away because it's so thick now. But yeah, and it's also easy to open, but I just wanted to close because it just looks more pretty when it's like more closed off than when they like are half open, half closed. The second book of the month is 9 Days, which was also a book that was on my shelf for a very, very long time. I actually started it more than 2 years ago, but then I needed to put it down because I had feelings. um, so yeah, but now I decided to finally finish it, and I'm so happy I did because it was also really relatable. Also, fun fact, all of the books of September kind of had the same theme of death, which is pretty funny to think about because what is the possibility, you know? But yeah, also I had the edition that was indie published, and I listened to the audiobook of the book, and the author actually changed a few things and even improved, in my opinion. So some things that I like highlighted in the audiobook, I just wrote myself in the book itself because I just needed them to be in there, you know? But yeah, it was also on a few lists that I can tick off finally, which I'm so happy about. Because yeah, most of these books of September were on my shelf for a very long time. This review spread is very lazily done, because I just made the collage online and then printed it off and stuck it in. But I really enjoyed this book. Well, enjoyed is a big word, but this book was really real and raw, and I think you would like it if you can relate to the main character, but otherwise I think you would maybe think she's being dramatic, I guess. But if you have lots of empathy, you can still enjoy this one. The third book of the month was Lore, and this is like inspired by Greek mythology. And first, while I was listening to the book, because I kind of listen to all of these books and then I go through my annotations again and basically read it physically a second time. But anyway, first time I was listening to it, the first half, it really wasn't for me. It was really boring, a bit long, and I almost wanted to DNF it, but this book was also on my shelf for a very long time again, and I really liked the cover. But yeah, the beginning wasn't really for me, so I rated it quite low, even lower than what I'm showing you right now in the journal. But after, when I went through the annotations again and stuff and really thought about it, I actually enjoyed it more than I like first said. Because I sometimes make these expectations of a book in my head, and then it doesn't end up being like that, like what I had in my head. So I basically put the book up for like expectations that no one would know about because they're only in my head. So I think like my biggest thing is just do not read the back of the book, because the back of the book can firstly spoil like half of the book, and secondly, you can make like those expectations in your head, like what it would be like, but that it's not gonna end up like that, you know? So yeah, I don't know if this made sense, but just I would advise to never read the back of the book, because I don't know, it just ruins it for me. Also, I'm really happy with how this spread turned out because I decided to print off every picture separately, which I used to do in the past, but now like with 9 days, for example, I didn't do it, and then it looks just lazily done. But here I really love to take my time with it and put them all in separately because then it just looks more like handmade, first of all, and also just more beautifully, in my opinion. Also, what I don't really like when authors do like modern versions of like older things, you know, because this was, for example, in modern New York, and they had like phones and stuff, and I don't know why, but that just isn't really for me. And that's also probably a reason why I couldn't really like it like a lot, but I still enjoyed the book, obviously. Like I already said, I changed my mind later. But yeah, I just needed to include that. So if you like the modern twist on like Greek mythology or something, you would like this book a lot. I also decided to use my own stickers for this spread, which makes it even more exciting for me that I can use my own stickers. Yeah, I used the bow and the arrows and the sword. And what else did I use? I think a few star stickers. The forward book of the month was Katabases, and oh my god, I love this book so much. A new favorite, 5 stars immediately. Um, I was actually scared that I wasn't really not like this book. I just was scared that it wasn't gonna be a favorite of mine, because I saw some reviews of people saying that it's like written too smart or something, and I'm not a smart person, so I was very scared. But this book was just it was easy actually, and maybe because it was the audiobook for me, but it was so funny, it was easy, relatable, also yet again about like depression, suicide, stuff like that, and was just so like to me it felt like kind of a love story, but then with fantasy woven into it, and I'm a sucker for that, so I really enjoyed this book. Um, yeah, so maybe I would advise the audiobook if you can't get through the book physically, and then maybe after the audiobook or while you're listening to the audiobook, you can also read it together, you know? That's also what I do sometimes. So for this, I really wanted to make a beautiful spread because it's a favorite book of mine. But I always make like unexpected expectations for me as well, because when I really like a book, I'm just scared to make the spread, like to make it ugly or something. But I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It's not really how I had it in my head, but I'm still happy with it. I decided to make the good old Dutch door flap with like the building of the cover of the book, and then I just put some aesthetic thingies next to it. Also, one more thing I want to add about this book. I never thought I would relate to such a smart character, because yet again, I'm not that smart. But she was so relatable. Like, I, I don't think I've ever related so much to like a smart character like that, and that was crazy. And that's also maybe a reason why I loved it so much more. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. And also the guy in the book, he's perfect in my eyes. And but yeah, I really enjoyed this book. then the fifth book I read slash listened to was actually a non-fiction book, which is the first non-fiction in my journals, I think. No, that's not true. But anyway, it's When Bread Becomes Air, and I I don't really like want to give it a star rating because it just feels wrong to star rate a person's life, you know. But I really like enjoyed the writing, and it was really like good in my opinion, if I can say that. Um, it's also very sad, obviously, and I almost had tears falling down my face at work because I listened to the audiobook at work. Um, but yeah, and also yet again, it's about that. So we have 5 books in a row about that. Um, but yeah, I really like this book, but for the review spread itself, I decided to make not really an aesthetic spread because yet again, it feels wrong to make like like a butterflies and rainbows spread about like a non-fiction book. So I decided to keep it really simple and just add like the picture of the author about the man who it is about, and then with his wife and child. And I think I also added one quote. But yeah, he will see. The second to last book was Gifted and Talented, and this is by Olivia Blake, and she has written two of my all-time favorite books, Masters of Death and Alone with You in the Ether. Um, but for this one, it was, I don't know, I didn't really had high expectations because of those books, because other books of her also have been not really my favorite. Um, but I don't know, I didn't really like this book, but I also didn't hate it. It was just like a book, I guess. Um, like the story itself just didn't really like grabbed me. Um, but some of the characters were relatable because this is about three siblings, an older sister, a brother, and a younger sister. And to be honest, unpopular opinion, but the older sister was quite the most relatable one, and also the brother. But I've know some other people that kind of hate the older sister. But anyway, yeah, the book, I don't really have much to say about it. It had good quotes, obviously. Um, but the book itself just, it's probably a book that I would forget about if I didn't journal about it, you know? It was just like a book. But yeah, that's good, I guess, because it's a book. And it's better than not a book, I guess. have arrived at the last book of the month, which was the Song of Achilles. And I waited for this book. If you saw my August wrap up with me, anyway, where I did Circe, you know that I waited for this book because I knew I was gonna love it and I knew I was gonna be obsessed with Greek mythology and stuff. And I know lots of people who like this book more than Circe, but I also know like all of my coworkers liked Circe more. And I also like Jersey more. I need to be honest. I thought I would be really obsessed with the Song of Achilles, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a new favorite of mine, but not like a 5-star favorite, you know. Also, I changed my rating from Cersei from a 4.75 to a 5, definitely. Um, but the Song of Achilles, maybe because I already knew like lots of things. I knew obviously they were gonna die. I only knew one thing, not, and my father kind of spoiled it to me because of the movie Troy, you know. Um, so I knew when it was gonna happen and stuff. Um, but it still was sad, obviously. And then going back, because that is what I do. So I listen to the audiobook, I save some timestamps, and then I go back into the physical copy and put all my tabs in and quotes, highlights, and then it hits 2 times harder because I read it again while listening to it, and it just hurts. Also, you can see all the foreshadowing, and the foreshadowing sometimes hurts even more than the thing actually happening. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I wanted to make like a beautiful spread for this book as well, you know. It got a bit busy because I wanted to include so many fan arts because this book obviously has lots of fan art. But yeah, you will see. But I think if you're like a teenager, you would like the Song of Achilles more. But if you're like a bit older, like older, I say as a 21-year-old, but if you're just like if your brain has changed suddenly, I think you will enjoy Circe more because Circe is more about like womanhood and just being a woman and like finding a way in a world that's not really for you. And the Song of Achilles is more like a sad love story, you know? So it's both completely different quite, but I love them both. But Cersei was just more special to me in a way. I don't know how to say it. before we go into the final flip through, also side note, I did not finish the review of Katabases yet, so you will see that that spread is empty, but all the rest is finished, but you will see that. I just wanted to include this video of all my finished stickers that you can find in my shop. And I do need to make a disclaimer because my shop has been online for a month now, I think. Yeah, almost a month. And it hasn't been going very well, so I will probably stop soon already because it's just too expensive to keep open and without having many sales. So yeah, I just wanted to put that in there, but I had made this video of the stickers before I even had opened it. So yeah, I just wanted to still include it. But yeah, enjoy the flip through and the stickers. Bye!